You've been programmed to forget your intrinsic worth, my friend. And this is such a perfect place to discuss on that topic, because I know I have that experience, and I have my really close friend here, Evie, and she's really great at asking questions. And I just want us to really dissect this topic from the inside out so that we can understand how we can remember our intrinsic worth if society made us to forget it. So here you are, Evie. Shoot.
What does it mean to be intrinsically worthy?
In essence, in the core of it, it means that our worth is independent from the opinion of others, from how they see us, like their image of us. And it also means that our self-worth comes from our own concept of self. So it's like in our own relationship to ourselves, we decide why we're worthy, right? This is what it means, an intrinsic worth. Because whether they remember that or not, when we were born, right? When we were just babies, every baby, if you look at it, it's loving, it's radiant, it's abundant. It knows that it deserves, it has a place under the sun. It doesn't feel this chronic shame that a lot of time we are brainwashed into once we start growing up from childhood. And I believe this intrinsic worth, in essence, at the core of it, it's literally the Creator's, God's permission for us to be.
Yeah.
And the remembrance of that.
Yeah, the baby doesn't need to do anything. It just deserves to be loved and accepted.
It is innocently loved and accepted.
Yeah. When do people start to think they don't have that worth? Or why do some people don't have the feeling of intrinsic worth?
It starts from childhood. Energetically, it's not like something specifically happened, but when your mother is not there for you to take care of you, or when your father is absent, for example. This has been my story. In fact, I shared a little bit in this channel about it. I mean, he's there physically. This was my experience, but emotionally not present, emotionally not nurturing.
Oh, so you think then I must not be deserving of his attention and love. If he's there and he doesn't give it to me, then maybe I'm not deserving of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like something is wrong with me and I'm not worthy for him. And this is why I've forgotten the intrinsic worth, because whenever we are born, we forget this deeper aspect of our being, that we are souls having a human experience, right? And so since we forget that, and this is part of the human game, then the rules, the expectations of when we are worthy or not is decided by our parents. And then it's like whatever and however attention, love, affection, acceptance they give us or they don't give us, this programs us to feel unworthy or worthy. And obviously some people are lucky, born in a really healthy family.
Yeah.
But for me, for example, I cannot say that. And I've had this experience of doing a lot of healing work, a lot of like honest conversations, initially with myself, then with my father, then with my mother also, to see that it was not their decision for me to make me feel unworthy. It was simply, I actually remembered that I'd chosen my father as a parent on this deeper soul level, and it was my decision to become self-sufficient, self-reliable in this way.
To experience this unworthiness, so then you can learn to become worthy.
Yeah, and I can remember that connection, which everybody has. You have it, everybody have it.
Yeah.
That connection to the Creator itself, to life itself.
Yeah, okay, I have a question. Then if someone is led to believe they're not worthy, intrinsically worthy, then how do they recognize their worth? How do they get healed?
It's a really deep question, really beautiful. Okay, I'll start at the core of it, and I'll go layer by layer to answer it more practically. But at the core of it, it's a decision. Whether I'm worthy or not, it's my decision. It's your decision. It's everybody's decision. But to reach that point of self-awareness and freedom of will, freedom to choose, to decide that I am worthy, I need to remember all the reasons why I am unworthy, right?
All the conditions for
All
you
the conditions, exactly.
to allow yourself to feel worthy. And then to maybe let go of them, maybe release yourself from those
it's all the conditions that made me believe that I am unworthy in the first place. I need to remember them one after the other and accept them, forgive myself that I was brainwashed into believing them, right? And then it's like I take ownership of them to the point where I can decide anew.
Okay, so let's take an example. Your father, for example, if he didn't love and play with you, then if you did something specific, let's say you got a good grade at school, then he gives you his attention, and then you're like, okay, when I achieve stuff, then I'm worthy of love. And then, do I understand correctly that in order to get free from those, like in order to recognize your internal worth, then you need to find those conditions you've acquired and then see how they're not true. You don't have to achieve in order to be deserving.
Yep, exactly.
You can just deserve, like you're just deserving no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. This is it. This is a great example, by the way, because there are a lot of people. And let me know, by the way, if this feels familiar. I would love if you share a little bit about your experience and bring more awareness to those conditions, because this is how you can let them go. So the comment section is available for that, just a reminder.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
It is actually, because this community is important for me. But it's a great example because a lot of people feel like they need to become somebody for them to feel worthy, right? But see, it's actually impossible. It's unrealistic because life is a game of becoming. So I will always be becoming. And there isn't any end goal that I will reach eventually at some point in the future where I will be all the worthiness that I want.
Yeah.
It's in the process of that constant becoming, little by little, I give myself permission to feel worthy by doing what I am excited about, what I'm passionate about, by following through those intuitive impulses that everybody has. And then it's like we become independent from others' approval, others' validation. And while I'm saying that, I don't want to mean that you need to be free from all of that. No, I simply mean that we need to be able to manage how much of our worthiness comes from the outside and how much of it comes from inside. And let's say if that balance is 50-50, this is a great place to be, right? Because it gives you a lot of power. And then eventually, obviously, you can make it 70-30 internal to external, and then even more. But if it's 90% external and 10% internal, then there is a lot of work to be done, isn't there? You need to remember, you need to recall all these conditions and then let them go.
Doesn't it have to be 100% from the inside, the sense of worthiness?
Ultimately,
Okay.
but this is not realistic if we speak in practical aspect.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some of the traps that someone may fall thinking they found this internal worthiness? You know, when you're trying to do something, then you may think you're there, but you may be somewhere else.
Yeah.
For example, the enlightened person
You might deceive yourself.
Yeah, I mean, what are the deceptions one may fall into?
All and every kinds, honestly, and I've fallen into many of them, and I still do, but
Okay.
I'm trying to be more aware of when it happens so that I can break it and let it go. Just to give some examples, in this spiritual community, for example, or in the law of attraction communities, manifestation communities, you've used the power of your will to manifest something, and then you're like, I have all the power. It's all within me. I am worthy of that. But then you become attached to what you have done and you cannot repeat it. You're not trying to understand how it happened. You become attached that you did it. And this, for example, is one form of deception in that community, which I've struggled with, honestly, a lot of times.
With attachment.
Attachment always is the case. But something else, for example, and this is in healing, in doing the inner work, it is a lot of people expect that they can heal a trauma and it would never occur again. But this again is not realistic, because the healing happens when a new routine has been put in place that is in the same place where the trauma and the triggers and the models of behavior that support the trauma have been. And so a new routine that consistently on a daily ongoing basis heals the trauma, when a new routine is placed there, at some point, and that point is not for us to decide, it happens spontaneously and intuitively once we are committed to that work. At some point, it's simply, you see that you're aligned with life, like blessings come your way, things just work out, you don't force it. and you don't have to work as much. Or when you work hard, it's because you like it. It's not because you have to. So yeah, when it comes to healing, one attachment, just to be more precise in the answer, one attachment is, I've already worked on that,
Oh,
but it's not real.
yeah.
I mean,
You may not have done all the work,
Exactly.
even if you've worked on it.
exactly. And it's fine. It's okay. You can repeat the same thing, let's say 10, 30, 100 times, and then reach the core of it. But see, it's not about reaching the core. It's about making it consistent, so that when you reach the core, it does not matter. You don't feel attached to it. At some point, when it's surrendered to all of it, all this reservoir, is that a word? It is, I suppose. You understand me? Reservoir of repressed feelings. When you've cleared all of them in the form of worthiness, you wouldn't know what unworthiness means, right? And I am not there. I am on that path. But this has been my attitude since I catched myself in all these deceptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
That when it happens, it happens. I'm not the one who manage it. I'm not the one who decide when it's done. I'll just do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how you know you're doing it. You literally, every day, or on a consistent basis, you feel better and better. But initially, if you're just starting on that path, and are you familiar, by the way, with that? It feels worse. When you start doing the work, initially it feels worse. Because you become aware of all of those repressed feelings of shame, guilt, so on and so forth.
You open your eyes to the pain and the discomfort,
Yeah.
and then you have to find a way to accept feeling those things. And when you accept it, they are not painful and they're not uncomfortable anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the beauty of it is that when you accept them, and you accept them again and again and again, anytime they come up, you can remind yourself of this simple fact. If I am alive, I am worthy.
Mm.
But see, this needs to be reminded of.
Yeah.
Because the inner child within us that feels unworthy, programmed, brainwashed into unworthiness, it doesn't know it. And we need to consistently remind it, take care of it, to the point where it trusts us into simply surrendering to that worthiness, which is intrinsic.
Okay, I have a question. How can one feel this intrinsic worthiness, but without being entitled, that people need to give you the things you're worthy
You're worthy of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm worthy of that, give it to me.
Yeah.
It seems like there is a difference between worthiness and entitlement.
There is a subtle difference, yes. And honestly, this is another challenge that I am right now, even in this moment, facing and working my way around. But I believe it is by having this relationship to our own self and making that relationship more important than any other relationship.
Yeah.
Because that relationship that I'm talking about, it's literally the relationship between the Creator, however you understand it, right? God, our Christ, Jesus Christ, however you look at it, but this higher power. This relationship between me and the Creator, if that relationship is the first, primordial, most important relationship, consistently and on a daily basis, I'll catch myself when I have become entitled about the position that I have taken in life.
Yeah, also, something wrong here. So if you take your relationship to yourself first, then you're deserving of love, let's say. But then if you take your relationship with yourself first, rather than your relationship to some specific person, then my deserving of love doesn't have to come from that specific person. If that person doesn't give it to me, then I know I'm worthy, and I can just let go of that person and go meet other people and not expect that someone specifically will give what I am worthy of, but that I'm worthy of it, and then I will allow whatever comes. Like, I'll only accept the things that I feel worthy of.
Yeah, this is true, absolutely. And there is one thing I want to add to that, if it's fine, if it's okay. Because a lot of times it's not about letting go of the person exactly, specifically, it's about letting go of the attachment to that person.
Yeah.
In the form of, what do I expect him or her to give me that I cannot give myself? A beautiful question, isn't it?
Yeah, but also, not everything has to come from yourself. I mean, in order to get love from other people, you first need to learn to love yourself.
Yeah.
But then when you learn to love yourself, you just
You can share that.
Yeah, you just choose whoever to accept to be in your life.
Oh yes,
Like,
obviously.
you won't accept people who don't love you or who criticize or
Of course,
yeah.
of course. And this is where boundaries come, and they are really important.
Yeah, but maybe one can only imply boundaries like authentically and with good intentions when they feel worthy of deserving something and that person does the opposite.
Yep.
For example,
Yeah, for example, you don't want to be spoken disrespectfully,
yeah,
but somebody speaks to you disrespectfully, and then if you speak to yourself disrespectfully on the inside, you cannot hold that boundary, you cannot express it authentically because in yourself internally you are crossing it.
yeah, and so I feel like I deserve to be respected, and that doesn't mean that I have to make you respect me.
No.
It means I can just go on with my life and not pay that much attention to you and just find the people who will respect me because I'm worthy of it.
Yeah,
and then I won't accept the disrespect,
Yes.
but I will accept the respect.
And see, this is the thing.
Okay.
This is only possible if you respect yourself already.
Mm.
Because otherwise you wouldn't give yourself permission to go and find somebody else who would respect
Yeah.
you if you attach to that destructive codependent relationship, right?
Yeah, if you're unworthy of it, why would anyone give it to you?
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it, because when you give yourself what you want from others, and you start there and you have internal boundaries, so you can
Maybe that's how
express
you
external
build worthiness. You give yourself what you need.
Yeah.
You fulfill your needs and you allow yourself the things you want. And
Exactly. And this, at the core of it, this comes from prioritizing the relationship to yourself, prioritizing your well-being.
yeah.
And we are all capable of that.
And that's why you said it's a choice.
It is a choice.
It's a commitment to take care of yourself. Let go of the programs that people just implied on us.
Yeah, it's just societal conditioning. There is nothing wrong with it. In fact, you've chosen it all, literally everything. If we look at the freedom of choice in the power of awareness, like at the core of it, whether we are reminded of that or not, and obviously nobody is perfect of that, but are you not aware
Of what?
of being aware?
Well, I could be aware of being aware.
Right? And
Reflection.
now, see, this is the interesting question. If you could be aware of being aware at any given moment in time, right, because it's simply a decision, isn't that awareness already worthy?
What? I'm not following.
It's a tricky question. If you could be aware of being aware
Okay.
at any given moment in time, when you decide you want that, right?
Okay.
Isn't that awareness that you're being aware of already worthy to give you that permission to be aware of it?
I'm getting confused, to be honest.
Okay. This is self-inquiry, by the way, what we're just trying to do here. But everybody can inquire in their own nature. And if you can be aware of literally everything, of how you feel, for example, this is more accessible to everybody. If you can be aware of how you feel, and if you stay aware for long enough of how you feel, you know that, right? You've experienced it many times, it gets lighter.
Lighter, yeah.
Yeah. And now, here is the deeper thing behind it. If you can be aware that you can be aware of how you feel,
Okay.
do you follow so far?
Yeah.
Then you always have the freedom to feel lighter.
Yeah, I always have, if I could have the awareness, I can allow myself to remember I'm worthy already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is the choice.
So,
It's available.
but what if you don't have the awareness?
Well, then you have to, little by little,
Build
expand
the
it.
awareness?
Expand it, yes.
Yeah.
And this is where
there-
the inner work comes.
Yeah, is there a specific practice that one can implement? Not specifically for the awareness, but for the whole worthiness thing.
Yes, there is. And in fact, this is why I wanna ask you to watch another video. It's a really in-depth guide of how to define, structure, and bring awareness to your limiting beliefs, which are, in fact, the reason we feel shame and guilt. If we understand and define our limiting beliefs, differentiate ourselves from it, make this distinction between me and the belief as awareness. This is what I mean as me. Then I can let go of all the feelings that support that belief. And in this video, I've broken it down step by step, two structures, one about defining beliefs and one about breaking through limiting beliefs. So you can check it out. I'll put it in the description and here also. This is literally how it started with me like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. It was about structuring all my limiting beliefs so that I know what I'm working with. And this expanded my awareness.
Oh yeah, you already said it. It's like you have to find those programs, those beliefs, and then see how they're not true.
Exactly.
Yeah, and let go of them.
Exactly. And this is where it gets interesting. This is where forgiveness comes from. If you see that unconsciously you accepted them as true because you didn't know better at the time.
Yeah.
If you knew better at the time, you would have chosen differently.
Yeah.
But since you didn't know better, this is our intrinsic innocence, which is how I started, if you remember, where the worthiness comes from. A baby, when it's born, it's intrinsically worthy, it's intrinsically innocent.
Yeah.
It has that relationship, healthy relationship, loving, abundant relationship with the Creator. Innocently. It's not a decision, it's already there.
Yeah, we just need to peel all the layers of the onion and then remove all the programs.
Yeah, and it is at the same time a beautiful process as it is a painful one.
I just got a realization. So everyone is internally worthy, but we've put all of those beliefs and all of those programs to think we're not worthy. And so our work is to see them, recognize them, and peel them off, let them go. And then we become the real essence, which is intrinsically worthy. Okay, nice, thanks.
Thank you so much. And I believe this is a great place to end it, if you like, if you want. But thank you so much for the beautiful questions, because I really like this conversation format, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it makes it really answering, like having questions that I can answer, and this is what I'm doing with myself. I'm asking questions and I'm answering them. But when somebody asks them to me, it's also beautiful, because I love doing that for myself, and that's why I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it too.
And thank you so much for watching, guys.